Chapter 14, Abilene. I've been in some tense situations, but to have Minnie on one side of my living room and Miss Skeeter on the other, and the topic at hand be what it feel like being black and working for a white woman, lots of wonder there hadn't been an injury. We had some close calls though. Like last week when Miss Skeeter showed me Miss Hilly's reason for why black folk need to have their own bathroom. It feels like I'm looking at something from the KKK, I said to Miss Skeeter. We was in my living room and the nights had started to get warm. Minnie'd gone in the kitchen to stand in front of the icebox. Minnie don't stop sweating for about 5 minutes in January, and maybe not even then. Hilly wants me to print it in the league newsletter, Miss Skeeter said, shaking her head, disgusted. I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't have shown it to you, but there's no one else I can tell. A minute later, Minnie come back from the kitchen. I give Miss Skeeter a look, so she slid the list under her notebook. Minnie didn't look much cooler. In fact, she looked hotter than ever. Minnie, do you and Leroy ever talk about civil rights? Miss Skeeter asked. When he comes home from work? Minnie had that big bruise on her arm, 'cause that's what Leroy do when he comes home from work. He push her around. Nope, was all Minnie said. Minnie do not like people up in her business. Really? He doesn't share the way he feels about the marches and segregation? Maybe at work his boss? Move off of Leroy. Minnie crossed her arms up so the bruise wouldn't show. I gave Miss Skeeter a nudge on the foot, but Miss Skeeter, she had that look she gets when she's all up in something. Hey, Beline, don't you think it would be interesting if we could show a little of the husband's perspective? Minnie, maybe. Minnie stood so quick the light shade rattled. I ain't doing this no more. You're making this too personal. I don't care about telling white people how it feel. Minnie, okay, I'm sorry, Miss Skeeter said. We don't have to talk about your family. No, I changed my mind. You find somebody else to spill the beans. We've been through this before, but this time Minnie snatched up her pocketbook, grabbed her funeral fan that fell under the chair, and she said, I'm sorry, Abe, but I just can't do this no more. I get a panicky feeling then. She really gonna leave. Minnie can't quit. She's the only maid besides me who agreed to do it. So I leaned up, slipped Miss Hilly's piece of paper out from under Miss Skeeter's notebook. My fingers stopped right in front of Minnie. She looked down at it. What that? I put on my blank face, shrugged my shoulders. Couldn't act like I really wanted her to read it, 'cause then she wouldn't. Minnie picked it up and started skimming. Pretty soon I could see all of her front teeth, but she wasn't smiling. Then she looked at Miss Skeeter, long and heavy. She said, Maybe we keep going then, but you stay out of my personal business, you hear? Miss Skeeter nodded. She's learning. I mixed an egg salad for Miss Leafold and baby girl's lunch, put them little pickles on the side to fancy it up. Miss Leafold sat at the kitchen table with May Mobley and started telling her how the baby's going to be here in October, how she hopes she don't have to be in the hospital for the Ole Miss homecoming game, and how she might have her a little sister or a little brother, and wonder what they going to name it. It's nice seeing them talk like this. Half the morning, Miss Leafold been on the phone with Miss Hilly, gossiping about something, hardly noticing baby girl at all. And once the new baby come, May Mobley ain't going to get so much as a swat from her mama. After lunch, I take baby girl out to the backyard and fill up the green plastic pool. It's already 95 degrees outside. Mississippi gotta be the most unorganized weather in the nation. In February, it'll be 15 degrees, and you'd be wishing spring would come on, and the next day it's 90 degrees for the next 9 months. The sun's shining, May Mobley's sitting in the middle of that pool in bathing bottoms. First thing she do is take off that top. Miss Leaf'll come outside and say, That looks like fun. I'm fixing to call Hilly and tell her to bring Heather and little Will over here. And before I know it, all three kids is playing in there, splashing around, having a good old time. Heather, Miss Hilly's girl, she pretty cute. She's 6 months older than May Mobley, and May Mobley just love her. Heather got dark, shiny curls all over her head and some little freckles, and she real talkative. She pretty much just a short version of Miss Hilly, only it looked better on a child. Little William Jr., he too. He tow-headed, and he don't say nothin'. Just waddle around like a duck, following them girls to the high monkey grass on the edge of the yard, to the swing set that hitch up on the one side if you swing too high, and scare me to death, and back into the baby pool. One thing I gotta say about Miss Hilly, she love her children. About every 5 minutes she kissed little Will on the head, or she asked Heather is she having fun, or come here and give Mama a hug. Always telling her she's the most beautiful girl in the world. And Heather love her mama too. She look at Miss Hilly like she looking up at the Statue of Liberty. The kind of love always make me want to cry, even when it going to Miss Hilly. Because it makes me think about tree lore, how much he loved me. I appreciate seeing a child adoring their mama. We grown-ups is setting in the shade at the magnolia tree while the kids play. I put a few feet between me and the ladies so it's proper. They got towels down in the back black iron chairs that get so hot. I like to sit in the plastic green folding chair, keep my legs cool. I watch May Mobley make Barbie doll do the skinny dip, jumping off the side of the pool. But I got my eye on the ladies too. I've been noticing how Miss Hilly acted all sweet and happy when she talked to Heather and William, but every time she turned to Miss Leafold, she get a sneer on her face. Abeline, get me a little more iced tea, would you please? Hilly asks. I go and get the pitcher from the refrigerator. See, that's what I don't understand, I hear Miss Hilly say when I'm close enough. Nobody wants to sit down on a toilet seat that they have to share with them. It does make sense, Miss Leafold say, but then she hushes up when I come over to fill up their glasses. Why, thank you, Miss Hilly say, and then she give me a real perplexed look and say, Abeline, you like having your own toilet, don't you? Yes, ma'am. She's still talking about that pot even though it's been there 6 months. Separate but equal, Miss Hilly say back to Miss Leafold. That's what Governor Ross Barnett says is right, and you can't argue with the government. Miss Leafold clapped her hand on her thigh like she got the most interesting thing to change the subject to. I'm with her. Let's discuss something else. Did I tell you that Raleigh said the other day? But Miss Hilly shaking her head. Abeline, you wouldn't want to go to a school full of white people, would you? No, ma'am, I mumble. I get up and pull the ponytail holder out of baby girl's head. Them green plastic balls get all tangly when her hair get wet. But what I really want to do is put my hands up over her ears so she can't hear this talk. And worse, hear me agreeing. But then I think, why? Why do I have to stand here and agree with her? And if May Mobley gonna hear it, she gonna hear some sense. I get my breath, my heart beating hard, and I say polite as I can, not a school full of just white people, but where the black and white folks is together. Hilly and Miss Leafle both look at me. I look back down at the kids. But Abeline, Miss Hilly smile real cold. Black people and white people are just so different. She wrinkled up her nose. I can feel my lip curling. Of course we different. Everybody knows black people and white people ain't the same. But we still just people. Shoot, I've been even hearing Jesus had black skin, living out there in the desert. I press my lips together. It don't matter though, 'cause Miss Hilly already moved on. Ain't nothing to her. She back to her low-down talk with Miss Leafold. Out of nowhere, a big heavy cloud covered the sun. I spec we about to get a shower. The government knows best, and if Skeeter thinks she's gonna get away with this nonsense, Mama, Mama, look at me, holler Heather from the pool. Look at my pigtails. I see you, I do. What with William running for office next? Mama, give me your comb. I want to do beauty parlor. We cannot have black supporting friends in my closet. Mama, give me your comb. Get your comb for me. I read it. I found it in her satchel, and I intend to take action. But then Miss Hilly quiet, hunting for her comb in her pocketbook. Thunder boom over in South Jackson, and way off we hear the wail of a tornado bell. I'm trying to make sense of what Miss Hilly just said. Miss Skeeter, her satchel, I read it. I get the kids out of the pool, swallow them up in towels. The thunder come crashing out of the sky. A minute after dark, I'm sitting at my kitchen table, twirling my pencil. My white library copy of Huckleberry Finn's in front of me, but I can't read it. I got a bad taste in my mouth, bitter, like coffee grounds in the last sip. I need to talk to Miss Skeeter. I never called her house except 2 times because I had no choice. When I told her I'd work on the stories, and then to tell her Minnie would too. I know it's risky. Still, I get up, put my hand on the wall phone. But what if her mama answer, or her daddy? I bet their maid gone home hours ago. How Miss Skeeter gonna explain a black woman calling her up on the telephone? I sit back down. Miss Skeeter come over here 3 days ago to talk to Minnie. Seemed like everything was fine. Nothing like when the police pulled her over a few weeks ago. She didn't say nothing about Miss Hilly. I huff in my chair a while, wishing the phone would ring. I shoot up and race a cockroach across the floor with my work shoe. Cockroach win. He crawl under the grocery bag of clothes that Miss Hilly give me. Been sitting there for months. I stare at the sack and start twirling the pencil in my hand again. I gotta do something with that bag. I'm used to ladies giving me clothes. Got white lady clothes out the wazoo. Ain't had to buy my own clothes in 30 years. It always takes a while till they feel like mine, though. When Treelor was a little thing, I put on an old coat from some lady I was waiting on, and Treelor, he looked at me funny and backed away. Say I smell white. But this bag is different. Even what would fit me in that paper sack, I can't wear. Can't give it to my friends either. Every piece in that bag. The culotte pants, the shirts with the Peter Pan collar, the pink jacket with the gravy stain on it, even the socks. They all got the letters HWH sewn in. Red thread, pretty little cursive letters. I reckon Yule May had to sew them letters in. Wearing those, I'd feel like I'd personally been owned by Hilly W. Holbrook. I get up and I kick at the bag, but the cockroach don't come out. So I take out my notebook, intending to start on my prayers, but I'm just too deep worrying about Miss Hilly, wondering what she meant when she said, read it. After a while, my mind done drifted to where I wish it wouldn't. I reckon I know pretty well what would happen if the white ladies found out we was writing about them, telling the truth about what they like. Women's, they ain't like men. A woman ain't gonna beat you with a stick. Miss Hilly wouldn't pull no pistol on me. Miss Leafold wouldn't come burn my house down. No white women's like to keep their hands clean. They get a shiny little set of tools that they use, as sharp as witches' fingernails, tidy and laid out neat, like the picks on a dentist's tray. They gonna take their time with them. The first thing a white lady gonna do is fire you. You upset, but you figure you'll find another job when things settle down, when the white lady get around to forgetting. You got a month of rent saved, and people bring you squash casseroles. But then a week after you lost your job, you get this little yellow envelope stuck in your screen door. Papers say, notice of eviction. Every landlord in Jackson be white, and everyone got a white wife that's friends with somebody. You start to panic some then. You still ain't got no job prospects. Everywhere you try, the door slams in your face. And now, you ain't got no place to live. Then it starts to come a little faster. If you get a note on your car, they're going to repossess it. If you get a parking ticket that you ain't paid, you going to jail. If you got you a daughter, maybe you go live with her. She tend to a white family of her own, but a few days later she come home and say, Mama, I just got fired. She look hurt and scared. She don't understand why. You gotta tell her that it's 'cause of you. At least her husband's still working. At least they can feed the baby. Then they fire her husband. Just another little sharp tool, shiny and fine. They both pointing at you crying, wondering why you done it. You can't even remember why. Weeks pass and nothing. No jobs, no money, no house. You hope this is the end of it, that she done enough, that she ready to forget. It'll be a knock on the door, late at night. It won't be the white lady at the door. She don't do that kind of thing herself. But while the nightmare's happening, the burning or the cutting or the beating, you realize something you known all your life. The white lady don't ever forget. And she ain't gonna stop till you dead. The next morning, Miss Skeeter pulled up her Cadillac up in Miss Leafold's driveway. I got raw chicken on my hands and a flame on the stove top, and May Mobley whining 'cause she's starving to death. But I can't stand it another second. I walk in the dining room with my dirty hands up in the air. Miss Skeeter, she asking Miss Leafold about a list of girls who's serving on a committee, and Miss Leafold say, the head of the cupcake committee is Eileen. And Miss Skeeter say, but the cupcake committee chairman is Roxanne. And Miss Leafold say, no, the cupcake co-chair is Roxanne, and Eileen is the cupcake head. And I'm getting so peckertated over this cupcake talk, I want to poke Miss Skeeter with my raw chicken finger. But I know better than to interrupt, so I don't. There ain't no talk at all about the satchel. Before I know it, Miss Skeeter out the door. La, that night after supper, me and that cockroach stared each other down across the kitchen floor. He big, inch and a half. He blacker than me. He making a crackling sound with his wings. I got my shoe in my hand. The phone ring and we both jump. Hey, Beline, Miss Skeeter say, and I hear a door shut. Sorry to call so late. I breathe out. I'm glad you did. I was just calling to see if you had any word. From any other maids, I mean. Miss Skeeter sounds strange, tight in the jaw. Lately she been glowing like a firefly she's so in love. My heart started drumming. Still, I don't jump right in with my questions. I ain't sure why. I ask Corinne, who worked at the Coolies. She say no. Then Rhonda and Rhonda's sister, who wait on the Millers, but both of them say no too. What about Yo May? Have you talked to her recently? I wonder then if that's why Mosquito is acting so strange. You see, I told Mosquito a fib. I told her a month ago that I asked Yo May, but I didn't. It's not that I don't know Yo May well, it's that she Miss Hilly Holbrook's maid, and anything having to do with that name makes me nervous. Not real recent. Maybe I'll try her again. I lie, hating it. Then I get back to jiggling my pencil, ready to tell her what Miss Hilly said. Aibileen, Mosquito's voice goes all shaky. I have to tell you something. Mosquito gets quiet, and it's like them eerie sounds before a funnel cloud drop. What happened, Mosquito? I left my satchel at the League. Hilly picked it up. I squint my eyes, feel like I ain't hearing too good. The red one? She don't reply. Oh, la. This is all starting to make some sick sense. The stories were in the flap pocket, on the side, in another folder. I think all she saw were the Jim Crow laws. Some booklet I'd picked up at the library, but I can't say for sure. Oh, Miss Skeeter, I say and shut my eyes. God help me. God help Minnie. I know, Miss Skeeter says and starts to cry into the phone. All right now. I try to make myself swallow my anger down. It was an accident, I tell myself. Kicking her ain't gonna do us no good. But still. Aibileen, I'm so sorry. There's a few seconds of nothing but heart pumping. Real slow and scary. My brain starts ticking through the few facts that she's given me, what I know myself. How long ago this happened? I ask. 3 days ago. I wanted to find out what she knew before I told you. You talked to Miss Hilly? Just for a second when I picked it up, but I've talked to Elizabeth and Luann, and probably 4 other girls who know Hilly. Nobody said anything about it. That's what I asked about Yul May. She say, I was wondering if she heard anything at work. I draw in a breath, hating what I have to tell her. I heard it. Yesterday. Miss Hilly was talking to Miss Leafolt about it. Miss Skeeter don't say nothing. I feel like I'm waiting on a brick to come slamming through my window. She talking about Mr. Holbrook running for office and how you supporting black people, and she say she read something. Saying it out loud, I'm shaking and still bobbing the pencil between my fingers. Did she say anything about maids? Miss Skeeter asks. I mean, was she upset with me, or did she mention you or Minnie? No, just you. Okay. Miss Skeeter blow out air into the phone. She sound upset, but she don't know what could happen to me, to Minnie. She don't know about them sharp, shiny utensils a white lady use. About the knock on the door, late at night. That there are white men out there hungry to hear about black people crossing whites. Ready with they wooden bats and matchsticks. Any little thing will do. I I can't say 100%, but, Mosquito say, if Hilly knew anything about the book, or you, or especially Minnie, she'd be spreading it all over town. I think on this, wanting so hard to believe her. It's true, she do not like Minnie Jackson. Aibileen, Miss Skeeter say, and I hear her start to break down again. That calm down in her voice is cracking. We can stop. I understand completely if you want to stop working on it. If I say I don't want to do it anymore, then everything I've been writing, and still after writing, gonna be said. No, I think. I don't want to stop. I'm surprised by how loud I'm thinking it. If Miss Hilly know, she know, I say. Stoppin' ain't gonna save us now. I don't see, hear, or smell Miss Hilly for 2 days. Even when I ain't holding a pencil, my fingers is jiggling it, in my pocket, on the kitchen counter, thumping like drumsticks. I gotta find out what's inside Miss Hilly's head. Miss Leafold leave Yul May 3 messages for Miss Hilly, but she always at Mr. Holbrook's office, the campaign HQ, is what Miss Hilly's been calling it. Miss Leafold sigh, hang up the phone like she just don't know how her brain gonna operate without Miss Hilly coming over to push the think button. 10 times baby girl ask when little Heather gonna come play in the plastic pool again. I reckon they'll be good friends growing up, with Miss Hilly teaching them both how things is. By that afternoon, we're all wandering around the house, jiggling our fingers, wondering when Miss Hilly's gonna show up again. After a while, Miss Leaf will go to the material store, say she's gonna make a cover for something, She don't know what. May Mobley look at me, and I reckon we thinkin' the same thing. That woman would cover us both up if she could. I have to work real late that evening. I feed baby girl supper and put her to bed, 'cause Mr. and Miss Leafo gonna see a picture at the Lamar. Mr. Leafo promised he'd take her, and she hold him to it, even though it's only the late show left. When they get home, they yawning, crickets is cricketing. Other houses, I'd sleep in the maid's room, but they ain't got one here. I kinda hang around thinking Mr. Leafo gonna offer to drive me home, but he just go right on to bed. Outside in the dark, I walk all the way up to Riverside, about 10 minutes away, where they run a late bus for the nighttime water plant workers. The breeze is good enough to keep the mosquitoes off. I sit on the edge of the park, in the grass under the streetlight. The bus come after a while. There ain't but 4 people on there, 2 black and 2 white, all men. I don't know any of 'em. I take a window seat behind a thin black fella. He got on a brown suit and a brown hat and be about my age. We cross the bridge, head in the direction of the Black Hospital, where the bus makes its turn. I got my prayer book out so I can write some things down. I concentrate on May Mobley and try to keep my mind off Miss Hilly. Show me how to teach baby girl to be kind, to love herself, to love others, while I got time with her. I look up. The bus done stopped in the middle of the road. I lean over into the aisle and see a few blocks up, there's blue lights flashing in the dark. People standing around. A roadblock. The white drivers stare ahead. He turn off the motor, and my seat goes still and feels strange. He straighten his driver's hat, hop out into the seat. Y'all stay put. Let me go find out what's going on. So we all sit there in the quiet, waiting. I hear a dog barking, not a house dog, but the kind that sound like he yelling at you. After a full 5 minutes, the driver gets back on the bus and starts the motor again. He toots his horn, waves his hand out the window, and starts backing up real slow. What happened up there? A black man in front of me called to the driver. The driver don't answer. He keep backing up. The flashing lights is getting smaller, the dog barking fading off. The driver turns the bus around on Ferris Street. At the next corner, he stops. Black people off. Last stop for you. He hollers into the rear view. White people, let me know where y'all need to go. I'll get you as close as I can. The black man looks back at me. I guess we both ain't got a good feeling. He stands up, so I do too. I follow him to the front door. It's eerie quiet, just the sound of our feet. The white man leaves up to the driver and says, What's going on? I follow the black man down the steps of the bus. Behind me, I hear the driver say, I don't know. Some black guy got shot. Where are you headed? The door swished closed. Oh, law, I think. Please don't let this be any of my peoples. Ain't a sound on Fair Street or a person except us two. The man looking at me. You all right? You close to home? I'll be all right. I'm close. My house is 7 blocks from here. You want me to walk you? I kinda do, but I shake my head. Nah, thank you. I'll be fine. A news truck whizzed by, way down at the intersection the bus turned off of. Big WLBT TV letters on the side. La, I hope this ain't as bad as it. But the man's gone. There ain't a soul now but me. I get that feeling people talk about right before they get mugged. In 2 seconds, my stockings is rubbing together so fast I sound like zippers zipping. Up ahead, I see 3 people walking as fast like me. All of them turn off and go into houses and shut the door. I'm real sure I don't want to be alone another second. I cut between Neil Cato's house and the back of the auto repair, and then through Oni Black's yard. Trip on a hose pipe in the dark. I feel like a burglar. I can see lights on inside the houses, heads bent down. Lights that should be off at this time of night. Whatever's going on, everybody's either talking about it or listening to it. Finally, up ahead, I see Minnie's kitchen light, and back door open, screen door closed. The door makes a whine when I push it. Minnie's sitting at the table with all 5 kids. Leroy Jr., Sugar, Felicia, Kendra, and Benny. I guess Leroy Sr. gone to work. They're all staring at the big radio in the middle of the table. A wave of static come in with me. What is it? I say. Minnie frown and fiddle with the dial. In a second, I take in the room. A ham slice curled up in a red skillet, a tin can on the counter lid open, dirty plates in the sink. This ain't Minnie's kitchen at all. What happened? I ask again. The radio man come into tune, hollering. Almost 10 years serving as the field secretary for the NAACP. Still no word from the hospital, but wounds are said to be. Who? I say. Minnie stares at me like I ain't got my head on. Medgar Evers, where you been? Medgar Evers? What happened? I met Merle Evers, his wife, last fall, when she visited our church with Mary Bones' family. She wore this smart red and black scarf tied on her neck. I remember how she looked me in the eye, smiled like she was real glad to meet me. Medgar Evers like a celebrity around here, being so high in the NAACP. Sit down, Minnie say. I sat in the wooden chair. They're all ghost-faced, staring at the radio. It's about half the size of a car engine. Wood, 4 knobs to it. Even Kindra quiet in Sugar's lap. The KKK shot him. Front of his house, an hour ago. I feel a prickle creep up my spine. Where he live? On Gines, Minnie says. The doctors got him at our hospital. I saw, I say, thinking of the bus. Gines ain't but 5 minutes away from here if you got a car. Witnesses say it was a single man, a white male, who jumped from the bushes. Rumors of KKK involvement are. Now there's some unorganized talking on the radio, some people yelling, some fumbling around. Somebody white. I tense up like somebody watching us from outside. The KKK was here 5 minutes away to hunt down a black man. I want to close that back door. I was just informed, the announcer says, panting, that Medgar Evers is dead. Medgar Evers! He sounds like he's getting pushed around, voices rushing around him. I was just told, has died. Oh, law. Minnie turned to Leroy Jr., her voice low and steady. Take your brothers and your sisters in the bedroom, get in bed, and stay back there. It always sounds scarier when a hollerer talks soft. Even though I know Leroy Jr. want to stay, he give him a look and they all disappear, quiet and quick. The radio man go quiet too. For a second, that box nothing but brown wood and wires. Medgar Evers, he say, his voice sound like it's rolling backwards. NAACP field secretary is dead. He sighs. Medgar Evers is dead. I swallow back a mouthful of spit and stare at Minnie's wall paint that's gone yellow with bacon grease, baby hands, and Leroy's Pall Malls. No pictures or calendars on Minnie's walls. I'm trying not to think. I don't want to think about a black man dying. It'll make me remember tree lore. Minnie's hands is in fists. She's gritting her teeth. Shot him right in front of his children, Abeline. We gonna pray for the Everses. We gonna pray for Merle. But it just sounds so empty, so I stop. The radio says family went out of the house when they heard the shots. They say he bloody, stumbling around, all the kids with blood all over him. She slaps her hand on the table, rattling the wood radio. I hold my breath, but I feel dizzy. I gotta be the one who's strong here. I gotta keep my friend here from losing it. Things ain't never gonna change in this town, Abeline. We living in hell. We're trapped. Our kids is trapped. The radio man gets loud again and says, Policemen everywhere, blocking the road. Mayor Thompson is expected to hold a press conference shortly. I choke then. The tears roll down. It's all them white people that breaks me, standing around a black neighborhood. White people with guns, pointed at black people. 'Cause who's gonna protect our people? There ain't no black policeman. Minnie stares at the door the kids went through, sweat drilling down the side of her face. What are they gonna do to us, Abeline, if they catch us? I take a deep breath. She's talking about the stories. We both know it'll be bad. But what would they do? Hitch us to a pickup and drag us behind? Shoot me in my yard in front of my kids? Or just starve us to death? Mayor Thompson then comes on the radio, saying how sorry he is for the Evers family. I look at the open back door and get that watched feeling again, with a white man's voice in the room. We ain't doing civil rights here. We're just telling stories like they really happened. I turn off the radio and take Minnie's hand in mine. We sit like that, Minnie staring at the brown moth pressed upon the wall, me staring at that flap of red meat left dry in the pan. Minnie got the most lonesome look in her eyes. I wish Leroy was home, she whispers. I doubt if them words have ever been said in this house ever before. For days and days, Jackson, Mississippi is like a pot of boiling water. On Miss Leafold's TV, flocks of black people march up on High Street the day after Mr. Evers's funeral. 300 arrested. The black paper said thousands of people came to the service, but you could count the whites on one hand. The police know who did it, but they ain't telling nobody his name. I come to find that the Evers family ain't burying Medgar in Mississippi. His body's going to Washington, to the Arlington Cemetery, and I reckon Myrlie real proud of that. She should be, but I'd want him here, close by. In the newspaper, I read how even the President of the United States is telling Mayor Thompson he need to do better. Put a committee together with blacks and whites to work out things down here. But Mayor Thompson, he say to President Kennedy, I am not going to appoint a biracial committee. Let's not kid ourselves. I believe in the separation of the races, and that's the way it's going to be. A few days later, the mayor come on the radio again. Jackson, Mississippi is the closest place to heaven there is, he says, and it's going to be like this for the rest of our lives. For the second time in 2 months, Jackson, Mississippi's in the Life magazine. This time, though, we make the cover.